Okay, the Tyne Toucan. Very interesting fly, this. It's a fly from the northeast of England, which is an area very much like South Wales. It's fished in the Tyne, River Tyne, the River Tees, and the Coquette. And apparently it's a remarkable fly. It does take some sea trout and salmon. My friends in Chesterley Street give it a very good name. You only have to read the reports in the Trout and Salmon magazine for the northeast region to see that this fly is often mentioned when the reports go in about trout and salmon. Personally, I've not been a big fan of sea trout flies with long, heavily hackles. I have been influenced by Hugh Falkus with his reading his book, his fabulous book on sea trout. He always said you should have a slim profile sea trout fly, and I went along with that, and I've had success with a slim profile sea trout fly. So I never thought much of this type of fly, which is a sort of a dabbler type, which is fished in Ireland. But I've got to be honest, I was wrong, because this has proven to be a very good style of fly. But if, like me and like Falkus, you're a fan of slim profile, slightly hackled flies, I will say look away now. Anyhow, I'm going to see if I can tie this to give you an idea. Right, it's a black silk, and I've already waxed this silk, so I'll get it going now. I'm starting towards the back here because we don't really need a foundation of silk on this fly. Unlike dry flies, they always benefit, and most flies do really benefit from a foundation of silk, but I don't think it's necessary on this particular fly. Okay, I'm going to put a tag on it, so I'm going to take this silk back, to give a bit of a foundation for the tag. That's about it. And the tag I'm going to put on is the oval braid, and I'm going to use quite a fat one for no particular reason. I just think it looks better than a thin braid. I will be using a thin braid shortly to rib the body. Okay, I'm putting this on now. This is just going to be the tag, which gives a target for the fly, for the sea trout to have a go at. And the other thing is that I'll park my silk up the front. Sometimes a thicker tag like this can help the profile of the tail, but that's not important. I just put a blob of varnish there to help it to stick. Okay, I'll just wind this tag. You could use a thinner braid if you wanted to. Okay, that's the tag. I parked my silk there. I'll take it back down, ready to secure this. Two winds will do it until I now give it a few more. Okay, now after the tag I'm going to put on the tails. And the tail is it's a golden pheasant, pardon me, rump feather. And that goes on here. This is a complete feather, and if you notice, it's sort of, the angle is sort of curved up, I would say maybe a bit like spoon shaped. So I'm going to put this on in one go, like this, and draw it through. When you do this, give 2 or 3 winds, not too tight, and you can draw it through until you sort of get a bit of a profile of it, just sort of like that. See that? And now I will give it a better tying down to secure it. Now I can see it's okay. And I'll nip off the surplus, the waste. Now notice how I'm cutting this, because it'll lie down better being cut at that angle. Tail number 2 is the crest. Golden feather, pheasant crest feather. Now this again is a lovely, beautiful feather. You wouldn't think there was such a beautiful yellow in nature, but there it is. Now it's quite a long tail, the two together. So I'm going to put this on in a similar fashion, on as a complete feather. Sometimes they twist a bit, so I want to get the right profile. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll give that a secure winding down. Now I'm going to tidy things up a little bit. Nip off that stalk, tidy things up. And secure everything. Okay, now that's tail number 2. Now the rib. And I'm going to use a finer rib. It's an oval silver tinsel. Finer rib than I used for the tag. Spinning out of control here, which it tends to do. I'll tidy that up a bit later on. Okay. Now I'm tying this in along the side here, because with this Hammond style hook, I'll show you, it's got a fold over eye. So by me tying along the side of it, along here, I'm leveling everything up. That's my idea. Right, tied that down. The body I'm going to use is wool. 1 strand of black wool. Here, I've taken it out, taken it off, and again I'm going to sort of tie that in similar fashion. I like the wool because it absorbs a bit of water, a drop of water I suppose I should say, and it helps to take the fly down without being too heavy. I don't like heavily weighted flies, except nymphs of course, excuse me, because I think that when they're lightweight, they dip and hover enticingly in the water or seductively, and the fish go for it. And I got that tip from Falcus. Okay, now I'm going to wind the body. Before I do, little tip. Varnish along the shank. This makes the fly more durable. Don't put a lot, don't put it all the way, all around. Just my side and a bit at the top. This will help to glue everything down and seal it all up. I just put myself a little bit further up the front here. Okay. Now one advantage of wool is you can go over and if you want to level up the body, it's so easy to get it wide at the back end where you've been tying in a lot of materials, and I can see that sort of happening to this body. So I'm going to come up a bit quick and then go back down and back up. Now I want you to notice I'm keeping well away from the eye. Going back down a little bit, sort of level up this body. It's not too important. Okay, take myself back here and I'll level it and I'll secure it. Okay, now the rib. Try to do this in even spaced winds because it looks a bit better. Makes an attractive body on a sea trout fly. Okay, enough there for another fly. Okay, we got the tail, we got the body, and we've got the tag. And now that I've varnished it and that's all there, I'm going to put on one of the wing. Well, I'm going to put on the wing. And the wing, again, is a golden pheasant rump. This particular one I've got here, which has been dyed red. I think it looks attractive. I'll just remove some of the rubbish from it. Again, you can see it's sort of spoon shaped, so I'll tie this on like this. And draw it through, and as you draw through you can position and line it all up by pulling at the back. You see the type of thing? We don't want to tail the wing too long on this fly, because I don't want it to foul the tail. Not that it would matter too much. Okay, that's it. Nip that off. There we've got the wing on now. Now then, 2 hackles go on. One is same as the tail, golden pheasant rump feather. Often tied in by the tip. This is a body feather. Body feathers have a thick stalk, as you know. And with thick stalks we try to tie in by the... But I like to tie them in by the thick end if I can, because as you wind the hackle, it sort of closes, it opens up. By the tip it tends to close up on itself. So I'm going to try this by the thick end, which is against a lot of rules on fly tying. But we'll see how it goes. Now it's got a thick stalk which is quite soft, and I can see my silk cutting into it, cutting into the stalk to hold it. Right, I'll just tie down a bit and put my silk up the front to give me a bit of room to try and wind it. Now with this hackle, with all white fly hackles, draw them down like this and try to double the hackle. This is what we call doubling the hackle. We draw it back like this and wind it. Do you see that happening? Drawing it back and winding it. Now I'm going to take my silk back, ready to tie it off. Just had 2 winds because it's a sinuousy sort of hackle. It gives that sort of mobile appearance in the water, as long as we don't do it too thick. Right, that's pretty good. So I'm going to nip out the tip like that, draw things back with my finger, tie them down a bit to give the sort of profile of the wet hackle. I'm sort of winding up onto it a bit. Now this toothbrush, old toothbrush, I've hollowed it out and I've trimmed it up a bit